I am filming this on my way to work because it has just been a busy day, but I wanted to talk about a few weeks ago, WWE recently announced that WrestleMania 43 is going to be held in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And a lot of people have different kind of thoughts and feelings on it. And I'm just going to kind of talk about my thoughts and feelings on it and what exactly I really think of it. And I'll be honest with you, I am really not opposed to it. I do feel like time-wise, it's going to be a little bit of it's going to be interesting because most Saudi Arabia shows kind of start around 2 or 3 or even I'm trying to think of really what time, even 1. It's normally 1 or 2 or 3 p.m. in the United States, but of course it's 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. in Saudi time. But with WrestleMania taking place over there, the biggest event of, the WWE calendar year, it's certainly going to be a little bit different having WrestleMania start at 1 or 2 or 3 opposed to 7 or 8 p.m. But timing-wise, I think it'll be okay. I think the show is really, I'm hoping it's not a 6 or 7 hour long event going over both nights. I'm hoping each night isn't 6 or 7 hours. If they pace it out and they're 2.5, 3.5, maybe 4 hours each, I think that'd be a good, a solid runtime for a WrestleMania pay-per-view, especially compared to Vince McMahon WrestleMania pay-per-views, especially in his later years, WrestleMania 30. I think of WrestleMania 32. I think that whole event streamed on WWE Network for at least 6 or 7 hours, including the countdown, including the kickoff show and all that. And then WrestleMania 35, which was a 5.5 hour show, an event where people were just dead tired by the time you got to the main event. Those long pay-per-view formats just don't really work anymore in the WWE. And we really haven't seen Triple H replicate that at all since he took over the head of WWE Creative. He always likes to have his kind of shorter shows, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, which I think is the perfect runtime for a WWE pay-per-view or a premium live event, whatever you want to call it these days. Especially if that match card only has about 3 or 4 matches. It gives each match time, enough time to tell the story that it's supposed to be telling. Now, as for the card, I heard and I saw on social media that there were a lot of rumors going around that Saudi Arabia was contacting a lot of legends and wanting a lot of people to come out of retirement for it, such as Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. Not Triple H, obviously, because there's no way they would ask him to wrestle. He's stated multiple times before that he can't do it, that his heart would probably give out if he did do it. But, we saw they were asking for The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I definitely don't think Undertaker is going to come out of retirement for it. But, hey, you never know. I 100% do not believe Shawn Michaels is going to come out of retirement for it. And I'm not even going to say, hey, you never know, because Shawn Michaels even said after that last match in Saudi Arabia, he just wants to completely forget about it. And it was a complete and utter failure and mistake to even, return to the ring after that iconic finish at WrestleMania 26 with The Undertaker. So Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, I'm pretty sure are ruled out. Now The Rock is a very interesting factor. He kind of just shows up in the WWE when he pleases and when he wants to. So there is a high chance that The Rock very well could make and be on the card for WrestleMania 43. I'm sure people are still wanting that match between Roman Reigns and The Rock, which there we might finally get it. But to me, that feels a little forced. It feels WrestleMania Saudi shows are typically super shows, so they got to give us this big match. And I feel like doing Roman and The Rock in Saudi Arabia may not have the same effect that it would have on doing it in just the States, or even imagine doing it in Miami, Florida, The Rock's kind of home, as he's called it before. So we always could get The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Stone Cold Steve Austin is also a very interesting factor. His last match, which nobody really expected kind of happened at WrestleMania 38, and it was a match against Kevin Owens, which was absolutely amazing. Everybody thought it was a really good match, especially for Stone Cold Steve Austin being as old as he was, and everybody thought he performed very well. I feel like WrestleMania 43 in 2027, I'm not very confident that he could have as good of a match as he did back in 2022 with Kevin Owens with somebody else. I can't really see that happening, but who knows? Stone Cold could shock us and, come out of retirement for another match, maybe against CM Punk or Brock Lesnar, or I don't even know who. So those are the legends that I think could be competing on the card. I'm sure we're going to have Cody. I'm sure we're going to have Seth. I'm sure we're going to have Jay. I'm sure we're going to have, probably not John Cena. I would hope not John Cena, especially since he's saying that 2025 is a retirement tour and it's his last year. And after this, you will never see him again. But only time will tell. People have said that before, and people have come back even after saying that. I don't really think WWE sold out on this, because honestly, we've seen time and time again, especially after Triple H took over, Saudi pay-per-views have increased in quality big time. Like Crown Jewel shows have gotten better. Elimination Chamber, well, I don't think there's been an Elimination Chamber in Saudi since Triple H took over, but Crown Jewels have been pretty good for the most part. They've all had pretty good cards. First one I think of is Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. That whole pay-per-view and that whole card was actually pretty solid. So I feel like they're probably going to go all out on this WrestleMania and try and make it, honestly, a really, really fun show for people to tune in to watch, especially if you got to tune in a little earlier on in the day during a weekend to watch it. But you never know, it might be better for viewership, honestly, having it earlier in the day. But like I said, I don't think WWE sold out. I think financially they made quite a bit of money. I know WWE has been very ad friendly in the last few months, and I'm going to talk about that in another video. But I think taking WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia isn't a horrible thing, because it opens them up to doing other countries for WrestleMania. Maybe after Saudi Arabia, maybe they're going to go to London. Maybe they're going to do Australia. Maybe they're going to do, other places. And I don't know if they'd ever do Australia, because they'd have to start the show at like 8 a.m. in the morning, like they have to do with this current and upcoming Crown Jewel pay-per-view. But I think, it opens their horizons on going to other countries and taking WrestleMania out of the States. I don't think taking WrestleMania out of the States is a huge, huge deal. Saudi crowds are typically pretty good, along with really any other foreign crowd that WWE really comes across, are typically better than the ones in the United States. So, those are just my thoughts and opinions on WWE putting WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia. Like I said, I don't have a problem with it, as long as the show is good and it's good quality and it doesn't drag on for too long, and there's actually a good card and good storytelling behind it. So those are just my thoughts. You guys are welcome to have your own opinion. As I always like to say, these opinions are just my opinions. So if you guys have different feelings about this, totally valid. But anyways, guys, I'll probably try and make another video maybe sometime next week or and then a week after. But I'll talk to you guys later.